Welcome back, everyone. For those who are new, my name is Mike, and today we're going to be talking about the top 5 guns that you should get before the election. These picks are going to be based on history, policy statements by those involved, and just essentially things that I think would be good to have regardless of what happens. With that, we're going to be talking about categories mostly. I'll give you a couple different options in each category that I would recommend, and again, the reasons why we picked those. So they are not in any kind of order. At the end, we're going to have a bonus pick for you guys as well. It's not going to be a firearm. It's going to be something a little bit different that I think you guys should probably get relatively soon if you don't have one. So with that, they're not in any order, so let's just grab it. So the first thing I think you should get is an AK variant, and specifically an imported one on this list. This one right here, this is a Wasser 10, a Romanian Wasser 10. Obviously this one here is all tricked out with all kinds of fancy Midwest industry stuff. We have a full review of this gun on the channel, but why do I say you should get one of these? Well, if you look back over the last 30 or 40 years, there's presidents on both sides of the aisle that have restricted imports from certain countries, imported firearms specifically. Bush Sr., of course, took away all of our Norinco AKs, unfortunately. Those are still being made, we just cannot get them in America. And of course, Obama took away the Russian AKs, or the base guns, the Segas, and there just has been a long history of presidents, for whatever reason, on both sides of the aisle, restricting rather the import of firearms from a certain country. So right now we can still get AKs from Poland, Serbia, Romania, and other places, Bulgaria, probably other places that I'm not thinking about, but I would get a foreign-made AK. Of course, right now in 2024, there actually are good American AKs as well, but right now I would pick one of these up while you still can. Of course, all the things that we're going to be talking about here today are going to be standard capacity magazine capable, and the reason I bring that up is to say that Kamala Harris, one of our presidential candidates at the moment, has supported literally every type of gun control possible. Specifically, she has supported banning anything that is a semi-automatic that has the capability to take a magazine of 10 rounds or greater. So of course, the AK and their variants would fit that specifically. Again, these are not in any sort of order, so literally the one that's closest to me. Next one I would recommend is get a full-size handgun. So if you don't have one, I definitely recommend it. This one here is the Glock 19X MOS. This one we've recently done a full review on. However, any full-size handgun in 9mm is primarily what I would recommend for most folks. If you don't already have one, now is a good time to get it. And I say full-size so that it can take full-size standard capacity magazines. Again, under Kamala Harris, for example, this would be banned for purchase.
I have a Glock, and I've had it for quite some time.
So that is what she has proposed. Now, of course, Glock, I'm a big fan of Glock. I grew up around Glock. That said, if you've never shot or haven't shot handguns a lot, Glocks may not be the best option for you. They're very proven, very durable, relatively affordable option. However, there's a lot of great options right now in 2024 for semi-automatic, do-all type of full-size handguns. The Smith & Wesson M&P series, some of the Canics are very good and very affordable as well. Additionally, the Walther pistols, some of the HK line, there are a ton. So this is just the example of that, but I would get yourself a full-size gun that has the ability to take a light and take standard capacity, i.e. greater than 10, which would be prohibited should one of the candidates here win. So that would be my pick for a full-size handgun. There's a lot of things you can do with a full-size handgun. Recently, we have been, when I say we, I mean me and other folks in North Carolina and Tennessee have been delivering aid up in the mountains, and everyone there is carrying a full-size handgun because they're useful in a lot of situations, including disaster relief, which certainly could become more common, unfortunately. So there is that. So next up is going to be a braced pistol. So this obviously is the CZ Scorpion 3 Plus. Review is coming on this one. We have a review of the base model already. But why do I say this? Well, number one, right now, many of you guys know there's been a ton of litigation on pistol braces, which help people who are disabled fire more accurately and do so from a more stable platform. There's been a ton of litigation over the last few years about this, and right now they are still good to go. And I honestly, I think they're going to be good for a long time just because of all the legislation that's on it. However, having more of them out there, having more of them in common use is always a good thing. Common use is one of the standards that courts look at in terms of whether or not something should be allowed or shouldn't be allowed. And the more of them out there, the better, the stronger case for common use. This one here has been on sale several times this year, right around the $700 mark. However, recently it has gone up. So if you guys are watching this now, it's going to be roughly $900-ish. CZ Scorpion, so relatively affordable one that's on the more budget side. At least as of right now, is going to be the Grand Power Strybog A1. Generally speaking, you can get those for a couple $100 less. And then, of course, if you want to get something a little bit more Gucci, the B&T series, they're out there. They make a ton of them. They're very good guns as well. They are not cheap, but this is a great option. This gun right here is used by military and police forces around the world, capable of doing a lot of things, including taking standard capacity magazines, as you guys can see here. So not only do we have our brace on there, which is something we want to continue to have going forward, we also have the ability to take a magazine of 10 or more rounds. All right, next gun up that we're going to talk about is going to be a good semi-automatic shotgun with a standard capacity. And when I say standard capacity, I mean a magazine of more than 5 rounds. This is the Beretta A300 Ultima Patrol, I believe. This one here is in the multi-cam finish, as you guys can see, but it has a lot of things you can do with it out of the factory, run a light, optic, all those sorts of things. A full review is coming on this shotgun. However, one thing I will tell you, right now it is a contender, pending further testing anyway, for the best sort of like budget tactical shotgun. And one thing that I wanted to bring up on this specific one, that's going to apply to others, for example, like the Benelli M4, the Beretta 1301 Tacticals, for example. Some of those being brought in with the standard capacity magazine would be restricted under the plans of some folks that are running for office. So this one here, of course, has a 7+1 magazine capacity with an 18.5-inch barrel. But if you guys aren't willing or don't want to rather spend the money to get a reliable semi-automatic shotgun, if you guys want to go with one that's more budget, one that I really would look at right now would be the Mossberg Maverick 88, the ones that take the bayonets. So of course, bayonets are super cool, also practical, and something that every gun grabber out there in the world wants to prohibit you from having. So that Mossberg there, the Maverick 88, they come in, I think, around like 320 bucks. Super durable, super reliable, and they take bayonets, which is something that one party definitely wants to take away from you. And I believe the model that takes the bayonets has a good magazine capacity as well. It's 7 or 8 shells plus one in the chamber, depending on the actual model that you pick up. The next firearm up is probably the one that most of you guys expected when you clicked on this video to hear me talk about, and that is going to be the AR-15. There's a lot of reasons for it. There's a lot of pros to the AR-15. Relatively easy to shoot, very low recoil, relatively lightweight, modular, very reliable if you get a good one with the right specs. I have a full buyer's guide series that if you guys are interested in that, definitely check it out. It will probably answer every single question that you might have if you're considering buying an AR-15. One thing that's beautiful right now in 2024 about the AR-15 is that there are so many good budget ones out there. One thing that's not good about the AK market currently is that AKs right now are fairly expensive relative to the history of the product. They used to be the inexpensive gun that folks would go for. That is not the case anymore, partly because of all the restrictions to the types that we can import because of politicians on both sides of the aisle. So there is that. But with the AR-15, that's not the case. The AR-15s are at, historically, especially inflation adjusted, all-time lows in terms of pricing. So now's a great time to have one if you don't have one, and honestly, everyone should have an AR-15 in my opinion, who, you know, obviously is willing to actually go through the process of owning a firearm. But this one here is from AndroCorp, and this one here, yesterday, if you guys followed me on all my social media, this thing was in stock for $375 shipped. It sold out, of course. But the point is here, you get a ballistic advantage barrel. You have a truly mil-spec AL Precision BCG. All that for the price point that we're talking about right here. Of course, there will be a full review of this gun coming, but so far so good with it. And of course, there are many other ARs if you guys are willing to spend more money that might be a little bit more feature rich, a little bit more proven. But I think a lot of folks who are just thinking about picking something up before the election might be oriented towards sort of like the budget lineup. These definitely would be on that list. Again, check out my buyer's guide. You'll see a lot of that. On the higher end, ones that I just kind of always recommend is going to be Daniel Defense, Bravo Company, Geissele. Those things are just good to go. But a lot of people don't want to pay that kind of money. And honestly, you don't have to get a good gun anymore. If you guys, again, follow my buyer's guide, you will be good to go. But this one is an option. And honestly, AR-15s, guys, with everything that will probably happen over the next 10 years, regardless of who wins this election, probably a good thing to have. And the next category that I'm going to recommend you pick up is going to be something like this. This, of course, is the P365 X Macro Legion, I believe it's called. Kind of a Gucci option for this category. But what I'm talking about with this category is something that is oriented primarily towards concealed carry, but is going to have a magazine capacity of greater than 10 rounds. Like I said, that is something that politicians who are in this race want to outlaw. It has the ability to take a magazine of greater than 10 rounds. So under Ms. Harris, this thing right here would be prohibited for ownership. The P365 series is kind of the king of this category. That said, there are a ton of good options. Like I said, this one's a very expensive option. The baseline P365s, again, if you follow me on social media, right now, earlier today, as when I recorded this, we're up for $399 shipped. So that's a great option. Additionally, the Smith & Wesson Shield, great option. Glock 43X, if you guys are okay with the capacity of that gun, good option, as well as the Canik Mete series. I mean, honestly, there's so many good ones out there in this lineup, and certainly no better time than the present to pick one up if you guys are interested in that. So that is the top 5 guns that we recommend you guys pick up before the election. Before we get into the bonus pick, we do need to thank the main channel sponsor, and that is going to be Brownells. Brownells carries basically everything that you've seen in my hands throughout the video so far, as well as ammunition, optics, magazines. Those are important right now as well. Gunsmithing supplies, and basically anything you can think of for the outdoor enthusiast. They have it over there at Brownells, so big thank you to them for that. Now for our bonus pick. Some of you probably saw it coming, some of you probably didn't. That would be a suppressor. So why now? Well, specifically over the past year or so, the ATF has dropped the wait times for individuals down from what used to be 6 to 12 months down to a week, sometimes even less, sometimes a month, just depending on the region that you're in. And what they just announced a couple days ago, is when I'm recording this, is that they're now treating trusts just like individuals in terms of wait times. So if you guys are filing on a trust, previously, up until a few days ago, those were still taking 6 to 12 months. Not anymore. They have changed the way they're actually processing those, and they are being processed now at the same speed. So most places around the country, under 30 days, you'll have your suppressor back, meaning that before whomever takes office in this country, you will have your suppressor. Additionally, on the news front for suppressors, this year they announced that there are more than 4 million in circulation in America right now. So in terms of the common use argument that we talked about before, obviously people are going to continue to get more of them, but it's probably already at that common use point for legal cases. But of course, more doesn't hurt, so definitely getting those would be a good idea. Additionally, suppressors, again, cost inflation adjusted rather, are about as cheap as they have ever been, which certainly is nice. Unfortunately, you still have to pay the $200 tax, permission tax from the government. But again, I definitely recommend you getting a suppressor if you are suppressor curious. Just like my AR-15 build list that we talked about, and that will answer rather all of your questions. We also have Suppressors 101, and we go through a bunch of different scenarios. If you want just one suppressor, if you want 3 suppressors, if you want 2 suppressors, etc., which ones do I recommend? One of the ones I always recommend is going to be this guy. This is the Liberty Infinity X. Basically, it is a just above 30 caliber silencer that can handle anything. It can go on anything that is 30 cal or smaller. Additionally, it works on 9mm pistols. So for example, if I wanted to run it on the Glock 19X MOS here, I could do so. You just have to run their pistol booster that Liberty has, and it can work on all types of things. It'll also take a 22 bolt action and make it comically quiet. It'll do the same with a 300 Blackout AR-15, for example, and some subsonic ammunition, and it'll also work on a 308 bolt action hunting rifle. So really a very versatile silencer. There are other silencers that have that same capability to sort of do all. They don't do everything perfectly well as some competitors, but having the ability to use them on so many different things is important. If you're only going to get one, have one that you can use in a number of different configurations, and that definitely is one I would look at. Again, there are others though that do that same type of thing, so I would look at getting a suppressor for sure, because again, as we just talked about, it should be processed, all of those sorts of things, before anyone takes office in January, if you guys pick one up right now, as of when this video is being published. So that is it. Let me know down below if I missed anything, any categories, any specific guns. I know you guys won't be shy about it. That is how the comments here on YouTube and Rumble work. Additionally, if you like this type of video and you're not subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you've done that, hit the notification bell. If you've done both of those and you're still not seeing 2 to 4 videos a week, from me, then you are being censored by an algorithm. To get around that, we have a couple different email lists that you can sign up at, both mrgunsandgear.com that should be here on your screen, as well as mrgng.org. Those are the daily deals, as well as the new video emails that you guys can sign up for. Daily deals email has 8 of the best deals that we find around the internet on anything: guns, ammunition, optics, accessories, etc. If the item, whatever it is in the email on a given day, it's the cheapest I know of on the internet for that item, because I've already done the price comparisons for you. So that way it saves you guys some time, because you don't have to look around, and hopefully saves you some money as well. There's also a good meme in there that a lot of people like. I mean, you can subscribe just for the meme. I will allow it. And we also have a new SMS service that a lot of people have been interested in. I think a lot of the young folks out there aren't checking their email like some of the older folks do. So we have the SMS service. You can sign up for that here at the website on your screen. It goes out once a day, either has a new video or a good deal in it. It goes straight from me to you without an algorithm in the way. So that is it. Thank you all for watching. I truly appreciate it. I look forward to seeing everybody in the next video.